Hello board game brothers and sisters, and welcome to another episode where I'll be letting you know of Kickstarters launching this week. My name's Adam Singer and I do this every week, so if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Kickstarters coming down the line, make sure to check out that subscribe button down below. And if you want to get this info in advance, definitely check out Alex Radcliffe's channel over at Board Game Co, because he's going to be doing this on a monthly basis ahead of me, and he'll be covering most of these campaigns at a high level, but diving into some of the bigger and more popular ones that you might be mostly interested in. And if you haven't checked out Board Game Co before, he offers a ton of excellent videos, and he's mostly known for digging into the value proposition of different campaigns. But honestly, he just has a ton of knowledge and he has a lot more to offer than that, and he's probably the best source for all things Kickstarter. So definitely check out his channel, and lately he's also been including his partner Rena in the videos, and it's been really entertaining and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And this is a game that I had actually covered last week, but it got pushed back to this week. And it's a competitive Euro from the designer that also created games like Sprawlopolis and Circle of Wagons. Players are noble families, and they're essentially trying to complete two things in the game. They're trying to rebuild the Emperor's Palace that was destroyed by an earthquake, and they're also trying to create a painting of the Emperor's Garden. And this game uses worker dice, and you're going to be rolling them and then placing them out on the different locations throughout the board. The values of the dice dictate the locations that you can visit, and you're going to be visiting these different locations to build different monuments and also collect different resources. If an opponent reaches an area that you couldn't, you can also visit that area as well by spending some of your resources. And players are going to gain victory points based on their total contribution to the palace. And the next campaign is launching on the 9th, and this is a solo game that takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play, and it's called Liquid Squid. And this is described as a cyberpunk mashup of The Dark Knight mixed with Grand Theft Auto. And in this game, you're going to be playing as a hacker known as Liquid Squid, and you're going to be protecting your city from a supervillain. And the villain's goal is to claim 3 landmarks, so the villain's going to be showing up at different locations around the board, and you're going to have to travel to those locations and stop the villain before they claim that location. When the villain visits their 3rd location, it's going to get a little bit more difficult because they're also going to be bringing in their army with them to fight back against you. So throughout the game, you're also going to be building up your own army of allies that will help you against the villain. This is coming from a first-time publisher and designer, and although there is a lot of info on the actual BGG page, there's very little info on how the game actually plays. So I would really like to see more of that, especially coming from a first-time designer, just to give us a little bit more credibility and a little bit more insight into how the game plays. There's also not many ratings on the ratings tab, which I would also like to see more there, just to see that people have been actually playtesting this game. In the forums, he does say that he will be posting the rulebook soon. So if this is a game you're interested in, I definitely recommend checking out the rulebook once that's posted. And if you're able to play a tabletop simulator version of the game, I definitely recommend that as well. And if you do that, please leave a review on the ratings tab so it can help other people decide if this is a game that they want to back. And the next campaign we have is the Night Market, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 60 to 90 minutes to play. And this is a game where you're going to be controlling a team of workers to set up your night market, create dishes, make sales, and find customers. And this is going to take place over 2 phases. The first phase is the day phase, where you're going to be building up your stalls, hiring chefs, gaining skills, and recruiting customers. And you're also going to be collecting Taiwanese foods to sell in your night market. And you're going to be collecting these in the form of tiles that you're going to be placing later in the night phase. You only have a limited amount of time during the day phase to get everything you want done, so you're going to have to be strategic with the decisions that you make. And then during the night phase, we have some interesting dynamics. This is the phase where you're going to be gaining customer loyalty, making sales, and building up your reputation. You're going to be doing this using tile placement by placing the different goods into your stalls that you collected during the day. And you can sell those goods directly, or you can piece them together to form some signature dishes that will really impress your customers and get you some nice bonuses. Impressing your customers does gain their loyalty, and will ensure that they come back to your stall for repeat purchases. The game focuses on different Taiwanese dishes, and the game plays over 4 different rounds, each representing different seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And this one's going to be my pick of the week, and I've got a few reasons for that. And first off, I just want to say that this website is awesome. It's really cool. It has all the different information about the game, along with the rules and the link to the BGG page. And it also has this really cool timeline down here showing the progress towards the campaign. So I just thought that was interesting and neat, and I'm really happy that they're providing the rulebook up front, along with basically all the information that you would want to look for when you're interested in a game. And that includes this really cool credits and acknowledgements section here that I think is really awesome to have on your website, because it puts a little bit of a spotlight on the people that helped you put together your game. And it also shows that you're putting in your due diligence and you're trying to create a theme that's respectful to the culture. And you're also playtesting and making sure that the game is streamlined, balanced, and that the kinks are worked out and that it's going to be the most fun as possible. And I also want to mention that this game took second place in the Cardboard Edison contest back in 2019. And this is actually one of the bigger contests. There's quite a lot of games entered. And I really do like to see this sort of thing, and it is something I touched on last week's video. But Kickstarter does have a little bit of a problem where anyone can theoretically just pull together a game, create a campaign page, and do some marketing and have a success. And that doesn't necessarily mean that a game is good. It really takes a lot of work to design a game right and also to get your game noticed, and I think these contests are a great stepping stone to doing that because it helps get a lot of eyes on your rules and your design early in your design phase. And it's also a great way to get your game in front of professional designers and publishers to get some very meaningful feedback in areas that you might not think about. It's really, really awesome to see designers that do this because it really gives us a lot more confidence in their game, and it also gives us a lot more confidence in the designer as well because it shows us the sort of values they have and that they're willing to put in that extra work to make their game as good as possible so that you're going to have the best experience when you get a chance to play it. And also, if you make about 4 scrolls down, you might notice a familiar name. And I also want to give a shout out to the publisher, Talent Strike Studios, because they are a smaller publisher but with a very solid team. I believe the team was actually founded by designers, and they have a really good track record, and they release games like Vinyl and Winterborn, and they've been really active in the community, donating their time to give feedback to all sorts of designers in contests like these, and also using this contest as a platform to help bring those designs that stood out into the spotlight. And the next campaign we have is a roll and write, and it's called The Three Sisters, and this plays 1 to 4 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And this one's designed by 2 very solid designers that actually created one of the best roll and writes called Fleet, and they also created some other games that you might have heard of like Wasteland Express. And this is a farming roll and write where you're going to be farming 3 crops, pumpkins, corn, and beans. And you want to plant these close together because each crop has a benefit that it provides to the others. And the sheet for this roll and write is going to have a few sections for your field where you can plant these different crops. And then there's also a track for your fruits and flowers and also for your beehives. And as you move up on these tracks, you're going to unlock some different resources and abilities that can help you on the other areas of your sheet. There's also a tool shed on the sheet where if you spend actions there, you can actually unlock some special abilities. And every area on your sheet is very interconnected, so making progress in one area will have a large effect on the rest of the areas on your sheet. And at the start of the round, the dice are going to be rolled, and the dice that show the same value are going to be grouped together on an action wheel. And then all players are going to be drafting from that wheel to take the action that they want. But at the end of this drafting period, there's going to be 1 die left on the wheel, and that's an action that every player also gets to take. And the different actions are going to be all around planting, watering, and performing special actions to grow your farm. And the next campaign is one that I don't have too much information on, but I believe there's going to be 2 games with this one, and it's going to be the dice versions of 2 games known as the Baseball Highlights and the Football Highlights. And this is going to be coming from Eagle Gryphon Games that has a lot of experience with different roll and writes. And it's kind of funny, Eagle Gryphon also published Fleet, which I just mentioned with the previous campaign, and they also released another favorite of mine, which is Roll Through the Ages. Like I said, I don't have too much more info on this, but the Game Boy Geek did play this one, and he said that he really enjoyed the game. It's easy to teach to a non-gamer. It has a lot of tough choices, big combos, and he will be dropping a video soon, so make sure to subscribe to his channel. I'll leave a link to that right up here. And the next campaign is one that I'm really interested in, and it's an expansion for Super Fantasy Brawl, and this one's called Super Fantasy Brawl Round 2. And this is one that I'm not going to dig too much into the details of the gameplay, but it is an arena combat game where players are going to be pitted against each other using a few different heroes and using their cards and leveling up those heroes to try and take out their opponent, win favor with the crowd, and win the game. And this campaign will offer everything that the previous campaign had, with the exception of that giant ridiculous white box that required a pickup truck if you ever wanted to have a tournament outside your house. So that does mean that the core game and all the different expansions are now going to be sold in separate boxes. And this campaign is going to be offering a lot of new content. There's going to be 9 new champions, and there's going to be foiled cards for each of the 24 champions leveled up forms. There's going to be a double-sided player aid, and there's going to be 2 small rule changes that come along with this. Now you only draw 1 challenge card instead of 2 during setup to help avoid first player advantage. And the keyword bloody is going to play a little bit different now. So now the bloodied state happens whenever a champion receives 3 wounds, opposed to what it used to be where they would have to lose half of their health. And there's a couple reasons that they did this. The first is that it makes it a little more simple and visible to track. and also helps balance 2 of the champions. If you're interested in this game, there is a beta on Board Game Arena right now that you can go ahead and play, and they're going to be adding new champions throughout the month, so definitely check that back periodically if you want to try some of the new content as well. And the next campaign we have is the Everdell Complete Collection, and this one's going to be our Discord Pick of the Week. And for all of you that I just confused, this is a new thing that we're trying out. It was a great suggestion given to me by our awesome Discord community. So what we're doing now is posting a list of all the games before this video goes up, and people can vote for the different campaigns that they're most excited about. And for any of you out there that love math, Everdell was voted for almost 4 times more than the runner-up, and it was also voted for over 7 times more than the average of all the other campaigns. And for those of you unfamiliar with Everdell, it's a cute engine building Euro game where on your turn you're either going to be placing a worker or playing a card. It starts very limiting and you're going to feel like you can't accomplish much, but as the game continues, you end up doing quite a lot. And this campaign is going to be offering 2 new expansions. There's going to be the New Leaf expansion that offers a new train station to the board, and this is going to be used for a variety of different things like bringing new critters to the town and also delivering different resources. And this is also going to offer a lot of new critter cards that you can include in your existing deck, and it's going to bring a lot of other cards and events to make Everdell a more attractive place to visit. The second expansion is the Mistwood expansion, and this introduces the Nightweave Spider to Everdell, who essentially acts as an additional player for solo or 2-player games. Aside from those 2 expansions, it's also going to offer all the content already available for the game, as well as a big box for storage and some nice new accessories for anyone looking to bling out their game. And the next campaign is one that I had considered not covering at all, but I do want to provide the best information, so I decided I will cover it, and this is going to be for the Monster Invasion by Peterson Games. And the reason I didn't want to cover this one is just because Peterson Games has been putting out a ton of games in the past, and they have quite a backlog already. And I really don't like these companies getting too far behind on their backlog when they're still producing more games. And I felt like Peterson Games already had tons of games in their backlog, and it's really a little bit insulting to me to see that they're adding 4 more to that queue. And this is something that I had mentioned in my previous videos, and it looks like other people are noticing this as well. And it is what it is. I do really like Sandy Peterson, and I think he makes some great games. I really like his sense of humor, and Peterson Games does some really great work. I just wish they would be a little bit more diligent on the delivery. And I do have a campaign with them that I backed years and years ago that I'm starting to question if I'm ever going to get that content. So if you do back this one, expect that there's going to be a ton of delays and you might not get your game for 3 or 4 years. If at all. But let's get into the games, and the first one is the Invasion of the Brood, and this is a 1v1 game where one player is going to be playing as an alien race that's established a base on Earth's moon, and they're going to be using mind control to take over Earth's vital areas in an attempt to try and overtake the Earth. And then the other player is going to be playing as a human, and their job is to try and alert humanity, rally armies, navies, and air forces, and fight back against the Brood. The next game is Marry the Monster, and this is a game all about a lonely monster that's rampaging through the board and destroying anything in its way. And players are going to be competing to build structures and take over the different territories on the board. And they're going to be manipulating the monster to try and destroy the opponent's structures while keeping your own. And then next we have Evacuate, and this is a game where players are trying to evacuate a space station that's infested with monsters. There's going to be a community deck building element to this game, some social deduction, and the player to reach the escape pod with the most survivors wins the game. And the last of the 4 games is Potions and Profits, and in this game players are wizards of a pharmaceutical corporation and they're seeking to find new magical potions to sell to the public. And players are going to be competing to bid on the most profitable potions and raise the stock price of their individual corporations. The most profitable potions may not be the most ethical, so you're also going to have to manage your public relations, just like Peterson Games needs to do. I just want to take a quick second here and mention our sponsor, KickstarterGames.com. If you want to help out the channel while also buying something nice for yourself, definitely check them out because they sell a wide selection of games, and a small percentage of any sales made there will come back and help this channel. They also buy games if you're looking to downsize your collection and make way for some of these new campaigns that you inevitably have on the way. So definitely check that out as an option if you have some games to get rid of. Because they buy games, they also occasionally have some deluxeified Kickstarter versions of games, so make sure to check out periodically to get your hands on some of those. And if you like free games, make sure to also sign up on their website because they give away a game every month. And all you have to do to get entered in that is be subscribed to their newsletter. And the next game we have is Monuments, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 45 to 90 minutes to play. And in this game, players are racing to build their monument first. On your turn, you're going to play one of your 10 cards and then discard that card, or you can recover all your discarded cards back into your hand. And although that sounds very simple, there's actually quite a lot that you can do. You can conquer different lands, produce goods, populate different areas, train your military units, build different buildings like this crazy thing, upgrade your action cards, trade with other players, attack other players, and draw quest cards. And the next campaign is another one that I'm super interested in. It's called Hit the Silk, and this plays 3 to 6 players and takes about 20 to 45 minutes to play. And this is a semi-co-op game with deduction elements, which are usually two things that I'm really not a huge fan of, but I think this game does a really great job of it. And in this game, players are stuck on a plane that's about to crash, and they just happen to complete a heist, and the players are all trying to escape the plane while simultaneously trying to gather as much of the loot and money from the heist as possible to take with them off the plane. This game does have multiple winners, and to win the game you're going to have to complete 2 objectives. The first is that you're going to have to survive, and the second is that the total cash between all the surviving players has to be above a certain threshold depending on the player count. And I think this game has a very interesting combination of cooperative and individual elements. Cooperatively, players are going to be working together to find all the loot and take it off the plane, as well as trade different items and form different alliances. Individually, players are going to be competing for a parachute, and they're going to be trying to secure a parachute in order to stay alive. There are some interesting concepts here, like if things start not going your way or people don't want to form an alliance with you, you can use different restraints and weapons to try and get your way. And the interesting thing with the handcuffs is that if you get handcuffed to someone, you both need a parachute in order to survive. So it gives you a vested interest in that opposing player, even if you didn't want to ally with them in the first place. And I probably should have been showing you some of the artwork as I was talking there, but it all looks really nice. And there's this really cool dial here that goes down and it's measuring the altitude of the plane. So you need to get off before it hits 0, obviously. And I think the game just sounds really fun, and I think it's going to create some hilarious moments, which I always love to see. So definitely check this one out if you're interested. I have all links to all the campaigns in the description below. And the next campaign we have is the Heroes of Normandie Big Red 1 edition, and this plays 2 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And this is going to be the big box edition for the Heroes of Normandie game. And this is a strategy war game that uses no minis, and it's a game where 2 players are going to be competing against each other, 1 player as the Germans and 1 player playing as the Americans. And this game uses dice rolling, grid movement, variable player powers, and bluffing. And there's a bunch of new material with this box as well. There's going to be streamlined decks for faster gameplay and setup. There's going to be an improved rulebook, new scenarios, an improved aircraft system. There's going to be new heroes and new artwork for all of the heroes. It's going to include flamethrowers in the box rather than an expansion, and I'm going to let you interpret that how you will. And it's also going to include some nice bonus markers for different tracking. And the next campaign is another expansion. It's called Valeria Card Kingdoms, the Darksworn, and this plays 2 to 5 players and takes about 60 to 120 minutes to play. And the original game is a card game that focused on tableau building, dice rolling, and card drafting. And there's going to be a row of monsters at the top along with a number above each of them, and you're going to be rolling a die to determine which monster is going to make an attack. Players are going to be slaying monsters, recruiting citizens, and praying for blessings. And I don't want to forget to mention that this campaign is actually adding cooperative play so that players can work together against these monsters. And they're also going to be completing tasks from a series of 6 books. Each book is represented by a deck of cards, and it's going to lead the players through a different story. And each book is going to have its own unique set of rules, tasks, and cards that's going to introduce to your game. This campaign is also going to include some of the previous content, like the 2nd edition version of the game, as well as the Darksworn expansion, the Crimson Seas expansion, and the Flames and Frost expansion. And the next campaign we have is the Bogus Survival game, and this plays 4 to 10 players and takes about 35 to 45 minutes to play. And this is a party game where players are going to be split into 2 teams, and then players are going to be drawing a number of different survival situations, and the opposing team is going to tell the leader of the other team what survival situation they need to escape. This is going to be done in secret, and then that lead survivor is going to try and get their team to guess what survival situation was chosen. And they're going to give clues by picking 3 of these different tool cards to indicate the different items that would be useful to escape that survival scenario. And if the team guesses right, they gain points for their team. And the next campaign we have is the Catacombs and Castles 2nd Edition Big Box. And this plays 2 to 8 players and takes about 30 to 60 minutes to play. And this is a standalone game in the Catacombs universe. And this is similar to the original game, where it is a dexterity game where players are going to be flicking different pieces to simulate combat, and they're going to be using different cards and powers in order to move and attack their opponents. This version differs from the original as it's going to pin the Catacombs team of heroes versus the Castle team of heroes. And this version also has a more simplified and fast-paced set of rules compared to the original, and it also introduces a few different mechanisms. And this campaign is going to be offering a lot of new items. There's going to be a new neoprene mat for the original board. There's also going to be a neoprene mat for the pit playmat that came in the expansion. It's obviously going to come with the larger box that fits all the expansions, and it's going to come with 2 organizer trays. And there's also going to be a integration guide so that you can play this with the Catacombs 3rd edition of the original Catacombs game. What I really like to see is that this game is going to come with a reworked manual. I always like to see manuals improve so that people can learn a game and get it to the table easier. And it's also going to come with some new cards and some rebalancing and a new 1 versus 1 mode. If you like dexterity games, definitely check this one out. There'll be a link to it in the description below. And the next campaign we have is Gloomier, a night at Hemlock Hall. And this plays 2 to 5 players and takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play. And this game is a little bit different because players are going to be competing to tell the most tragic tale. Players are going to be collecting these transparent cards and then placing them on top of each other in order to create a story and to score points. The interesting thing about this game is you only score based on the visible info after you stack the cards. So as you stack them, info is going to be hidden and it's going to become no longer relevant in your scoring. There are going to be some different modifier cards that you'll want to take advantage of, and then there's untimely death cards that are going to put an end to one of your characters. You win the game if you create the most miserable family at the time of their demise. And this is a standalone game, but it is part of the Gloom series, and you'll find that there's 6 new stories and 14 new guests that can be used with any edition of Gloom. And the next game we have is Althing, and it feels very awkward to say, and it plays 1 to 3 players and takes about 15 to 30 minutes to play. And this is a game that I just found out about while filming this video, so let's check it out. And it looks like this is a game where there is a Viking king who is dying without leaving a successor. On your turn, you're going to be recruiting different Vikings at different times using deck building, so you're going to want to take care with what you put into your deck. And you're going to want to reach the Althing first to be crowned. What's an Althing? Interesting. Fun fact about Iceland, it actually has one of the most oldest and unchanged languages. So if they ever find some old text, it's very common that they can still read it quite well because their language has undergone so little change. It looks like this campaign is probably not coming from an English-speaking team because I was really having trouble reading the Board Game Geek page, and yeah, so I guess it's from a French publisher, and this might make a little bit more sense for anyone that can read French. So I'll just go ahead and throw it on the screen now, and if you want, you can pause now and use your Google Glass to figure out what this game is all about. And that was all the games for March 9th, so now we're going to get into March 10th, and I just have one game for you, and it's Robots Ate Our Pizza. And this plays 2 to 6 players and takes about 20 to 30 minutes to play. And this is a game where robots have crashed your pizza party and they have challenged you to a contest. And this is going to be a cooperative game where you're going to have to solve a series of 4 tasks. And the robots are going to eat a certain amount of pizza depending on how poorly you perform on those tasks. This game uses drafting and set collection, and on your turn you're going to have a hand of cards and you're going to want to keep one in your hand and then you're going to pass the rest to the next player. This is a cooperative game, so you're going to want to make sure that you're leaving the cards that you think that your teammates want the most because the total score matters, not just your individual score. Your teammates can't tell you the cards that they want, so you're going to have to use whatever information you do have to decide what cards you want to keep in your hand and what cards you want to pass on to your teammates. And the next couple games are releasing on March 11th, and the first one is Stellaris Infinite Legacy, and this plays 2 to 4 players and takes about 90 to 150 minutes to play. And this is a 4X game based on the video game with the same name. And in this game, each player is going to be designing their own individual civilizations, and they're going to be doing this by defining the traits, ethics, and government that that civilization is going to have. The decisions that you make here are really important because it's going to affect how you interact with the rest of the galaxy. This game is designed to be played in about 2-hour play sessions where you're going to be growing your empire, advancing technology, discovering new mechanisms, and facing new challenges and creating a story from the decisions that you make. And the decisions you make are going to affect both you and the other players. This game is designed using their infinite legacy principles, which basically has 3 parts. The not one and done, which means that the game actually has no end. You can actually play it as long or little as you want. And you can actually create new empires and take down your old ones, and your old abandoned empires remain in the galaxy for your new empires to discover and interact with. This design approach also makes it really easy to have other players jump into individual sessions or play over multiple sessions and jump out at any time. It's also non-destructive, which means that you're not going to be destroying any of your components throughout the game. And it's also non-linear, which is basically what I said earlier, where the different decisions you make are going to have an impact on the game, and each game is going to play very different from the next. And if you are interested in this game, definitely sign up to be notified, because there is an early bird, which will get you a free Stellaris digital Steam key, which is pretty sweet, and a Kickstarter exclusive Dimensional Horror Crisis Boss miniature. And the last campaign we have is called Faux Diamonds, and this plays 2 to 6 players and takes about 20 to 60 minutes to play. And this is a trick-taking game where players are not only going to be trying to take tricks, but also trying to sell their cards, which represent different diamonds in the game. This game also has a value track that dictates the value of the diamonds throughout the game, and I believe that when you sell a diamond, it's actually going to change the price of that diamond moving forward. Players can also manipulate the market using fake diamonds, and the player with the most wealth at the end of the game wins the game. We do have some giveaways to announce, so don't leave yet. I'm going to whip through these pretty quick because we do have quite a lot to get through, and I do need to sleep some nights. So let's get to it. And the first one we have is Meeples and Monsters, or as I like to call it, M&Ms. And this is a bag building worker placement game where you're going to be putting your workers out on the map and upgrading those workers so that they can gain more skills and perform different actions. And as the name suggests, you're going to be fighting some different monsters, and you're going to be completing some different quests, and you're going to be somewhat building up this bag just like you would with a typical deck builder. And this is a game that I think looks like a lot of fun, and the game kind of reminds me a little bit of the Lords of Waterdeep, which is a game I really like, but I think I would actually like this game a lot more because of the little bit of randomness that's introduced by drawing from the bag. I don't like games that are too calculated. I do prefer a little bit of randomness because I'd rather be rolling with the punches and trying to make the best out of a situation. And this giveaway is for the only pledge that's on the campaign, which is the Hero Pledge, and this comes with the core game along with the upgraded Meeples that are screen printed, 4 Towers expansions, and solo game rules and components. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with the hashtag Meeple and let us know what your favorite chocolate is. For me, I kind of just like dark chocolate, but I guess Mr. Big and Kit Kat are pretty awesome as well. And the next giveaway we have is for a gift of tulips. And this is a game where players are competing to create a bouquet of tulips in the Tulip Festival in Amsterdam. And players are going to be modifying the market to make the tulips worth different amounts. And there's ways to score points throughout the game and also score points at the end of the game. And this giveaway is going to be for the Gift of Tulips pledge, which comes with the core game and a high quality print and play. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with the hashtag tulip and let us know what your favorite flower is. For me, I've always really liked the cherry blossom. I think it looks really nice and it's really different to see a tree all covered in pink. And I also think it's just hilarious in the fall when all those flowers fall off and dominate someone's yard. And the next giveaway we have is for CULTivate. And this is a game where players are all running their own cults, and they're going to be trying to recruit different cult members, and the different cult members all play a little bit differently, and you're going to be placing those to create some different patterns and gain points, all while trying to avoid the pesky investigator. And this giveaway is going to be for the Join the Cult pledge, which comes with a core game and a bonus Kickstarter exclusive sticker. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with the hashtag cult, and let us know which one of these cultists you most identify with. I don't think I have quite enough followers to be labeled as a celebrity. I'm not really a scientist, I'm an engineer, so maybe academic? Definitely drifter. I don't really have a home right now, and I kind of got that beard thing going on. And the next giveaway we have is for High Noon, and this is a game where players are going to be controlling their different posses, and this is a bit of a war game where players are going to be moving around on the board and attacking other players, and you're also going to be collecting different loot and loot crates and using those items that you gain from those crates to help you along the way. The goal of this game is to cause as much chaos and win more gold than all the other players. And this giveaway is going to be for the Sweetwater Pledge, which comes with everything you need to play this game with 4 players and all unlocked stretch goals. And to enter this giveaway, just leave a comment down below with the hashtag noon. And I want to know, are you a get up early type of person or a sleep till noon type of person? For me, I do like getting up early, especially when I have something to look forward to that day. But I guess lately I'm more of a sleep whenever I can type of person. And the next giveaway we have is another one that I'm super interested in, and it's called Theurgy. And this is a game where players are going to be taking on the roles of different gods, and you're going to be competing with other players to gain the most worship by getting the people to build temples in your honor. Players are going to be doing different things to manipulate the people and put them in different predicaments where they need help from the gods, and when that happens, you really want to make sure that you're the one that they call on. This is an area control game that I've been hearing a lot of good things about, and I'd really like to give this one a shot for myself as well. And this giveaway is going to be for the Divine Pledge, which comes with the core game, all mortal components, and all divine components. So you'll be getting some really nice deluxified upgrades with this. And it also gets you all unlocked stretch goals. And to enter this giveaway, it's going to be a little bit different than the other giveaways. All you have to do is go ahead and visit our Discord and check out the giveaways channel. And I'll have a comment in here for this giveaway, and all you have to do is click this little emoji underneath that comment. While you're there, feel free to check out the main chat and come say hello, and you can also check out some of the upcoming campaigns further into the future. Now let's go ahead and draw the winners for last week, and to draw a winner, I use this fancy application here, and all these extra names down here are bonus entries for my Patreon subscribers. If you like this sort of content, definitely check that out. It gets you some nice perks like bonus entries into these giveaways, and it's also the best way to support the channel. And I'd actually already drawn the winner for this, but my camera turns off after 30 minutes of recording and I didn't notice, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you who I drew. And this giveaway was for Orconomics 2nd edition, and I'd asked viewers to let us know if they could invest $10,000 in any company, which company would they choose. And our winner is Aaron Kropf. And they say my investment would go into the arts, probably a small theater company. And I can definitely appreciate that. It's these smaller companies that would definitely feel the impact from an investment like that the most. And the next giveaway we had was for Factory Floor. And for this one, I'd ask the viewers to let us know if they could have a factory of their own, what would they produce? And our winner is Klez. And they say for me, it would be a fun factory, a place where people can go to and having fun. I love the concept. Make sure to congratulate the winners in the comment section below, and for the winners, make sure to email me at adam@shelfclutter.com and I'll get those pledges all sorted out. And that's all I have this week. Until next time, keep that shelf cluttered and the table full.